Today we're going to go through and overclock the 9070 XT. You can tune it by game, going in here and picking a game and then going to its performance settings and tune it by game. Or you can do a general tune, which is what I'm going to do today, using DirectX 12 as my general tune guide using TimeSpy. This is done at 1440p. So on the lower tier cards, you'll have to do this at, with Firestrike's um, thing. You want to turn the demo off so that saves you a little bit of time. And you can actually go in here and alter the test runs as well on the paid version. You can get the tech demo from Tech Power Up. And let me pull that up real quick and so I can link it here or show you here. But I'm not sure what abilities you can do on the tech demo. But downloads. But you can go in and 3D DeMarco 3, oh 05, 2001, any one of them, and they're the tech demos. And you can run your testing from here and you download it from Tech Power Up and install it. But at any rate, we're going to be going over the performance tuning of this particular GPU and how my methods of finding clocks and what I think works best. You got fan speeds, you got offsets and offset undervolts, and the memory clocking. So first you want to run a test run. Go here back to 0. Apply. And then TimeSpy. And I'm going to pause the video here and run the test run. And then come back and I'll show you the results of a stock run. And then I'll start changing settings and I'll open up Notepad and note so that I can save time with video time so you can see what I've noted, what I've tested, and what the results were as I go along. Okay, I'm back. And I opened up Hardware Info 64 because I know some of you won't have multi-monitors like I do. So this kind of helps you get an idea of where everything is. And I did not have this open while the benchmark was running, but it will tell you your maximum temperature, your average temperature, your minimum, and your current. So you can run the benchmark and go back through and look. You can also see frame rates and all kinds of other information in this. I usually go over here and watch this because of the dual monitors, which is easier to have, the drivers open in a different monitor where the benchmark's going on. It's going to eat a little bit of performance, but it gives you a good idea of what's going on. So let's go back here. And while it was running, I was watching the clocks and seeing that this average right here was from 26 to 28 and the voltage. And that was just a stock run and the end results. Now I can definitely get that score up. I know I can, it's already have. um, working with this GPU. So you got your power tuning. This will add 10% to your wattage. So if you're running a 300 watt car, plus 10% would be 330. And you also want to take your fans, and for now, you can just max them all out. You can actually curve it later. And watching the runs, the GPU hotspot on this one, which is very important to watch, never went over 74C um, throughout it. That's why you want hardware info running if you can't see drivers. So you can at least look to see where it was at and what the average was while you were running the benchmark. Because this data will give you great information. Now, you see, I've added 10%, and what I'll do is come back after this run and show you results, and then we'll start working on the RAM and eventually start working on clocks, and I will use Notepad during the journey to help show you guys what it is so the video doesn't turn out 10 hours long. Okay, so I didn't pay attention to the numbers, so I pulled it up here from the previous run, 28407. All I did was add 10% to the clocks and pulled the 2893 off the run, and I increased the fan curve so the GPU would stay nice and cool during the run. So now I'm going to start going in and tuning memory. And you see it's 2518. I'll probably set it for 26. And I'll start doing different runs, changing the RAM around. And I'll write down the score as I go along and not update the video until I get closer to the max RAM amount and the max RAM increase, and then start giving you a guide on the clocks. So hopefully this will keep the video shorter. And yes, I am using a 5900X. And in this video, I'm not going to sit here and talk about bottlenecks, because if you look at 4K and 1440p numbers from the 9800X 3D to the 5900X, the difference is like very small, very minimal. And there is no bottleneck there. Now at 1080p medium settings, yeah, there's a bottleneck. But I don't game at 1080p medium settings. I don't go after max frames. So I can show the numbers from Hardware Unboxed if need be, where he does the different testings on 4 different CPUs and at all 3 resolutions to show you there's not much of a difference. You can look at any 4K or any GPU release ever done, and they're going to be done on the previous gen and the newest gen of the best CPU. The 3090 will have 3 CPUs tested on, the 4090 will have 2, and the 5090 will have 1. And really, next gen, whenever they release new GPU, they will show 5090 on the 9800X 3D, and then they'll show it on whatever the newest best CPU at the time is, and you'll see that there's very little difference at the higher resolution. So we don't have to worry about bottlenecks like Fabio does on Ancient Gameplays. That's for sure. Because every other word's bottleneck, and that's not the case, because GPU here is still the bottleneck. And GPU on the better CPUs is still the bottleneck. But anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and stop digressing here and go back and start playing with RAM and see where I land. Okay, I've done a few runs now. With memory, I had a lower run whenever I went to 2600, but then after 27 showed an increase, and 28 showed an increase, 29 showed an increase. But with the memory, if you get too high, like I know if I go to 3000 right now with my memory, my screens will go black. Here I just hit reset, the driver's reset to default, and I can start over and keep working with it from the last number that worked. It's kind of good to have that tracked, probably outside your system if you have to reset. But remembering what you set and everything else will help with this aspect. Um, I will try little increments like 29.25 and 29.50 and see how the score works. And what I'm trying to do is find that max memory clock before it goes black and before it becomes unstable. And I'll note those, but I've run one, two, three, four, 5 runs, jumping up by 100 on the memory clocks. And now I can go smaller because I know going 3000 will cause my screen to go black. So maybe I'll do 1 step and 2 steps and come back whenever I find the max. If this number keeps increasing, if this number decreases, I will then run it again to see if it increases, because you have a small margin of error where the numbers will fluctuate better or worse as well in the benchmark. Um, but I'm starting to get close to that end, and then we'll move on to the clock offsets. And what I'm doing is I'm slowly working my way up till I find the points that I get diminishing returns, and then I start tuning it in fine with the benchmarks. Okay, so this last run, while the run was going on, I would see lines flickering on the screen, so I'm going to stop with the memory because I know at 3000 it will start to black screen. And like I said, the variance 2925. This one was supposed to be 2950, but it was a mistake. It was 2925, and you can see it was just a little bit better. And you see going up to 2950 was pretty, or another little increase, but because of the lines coming across the screen, I'm gonna stop there with the memory because I know from other testing before I started making this video that at 3000 it goes out. So now I'm going to go into the clocks and kind of give a rundown on it and tell you what you're looking for here as well. So we're going to go back and we're going to go. Oops. Okay, so I've been playing with it more and more and getting small increases as I go along. I'd set plus 500 like around negative 40. Um, Score was still going up, so I played with it a little bit. I changed it to 550 after I crashed it, playing around with just pushing it all the way out. The drivers crashed, so it wasn't a huge deal. I didn't lose a lot of information or anything like that. Reset everything up, and um, it looks like I can play around right in here and fine tune it out. So my best score is 3,099. From other testing, I should be able to hit that score again, but right now I have not yet passed 336. So it's just a lot of minor adjustments and tuning and stuff like that. And that's the thing about these is you have to play with every number without making huge changes so you're not going back and changing it. So like right now I can go back to 500 and I'm going to try negative 80 and then hit apply and run and see where it scores. I'll note it, and if I can get past my best score, I'll come back with a end cap and information of what I did. So okay, I did a couple more and I beat my best from the other day, but here we got 3033 and then 3297. So what I need to do is I'm going to adjust this again to negative 120 because it seems to be going slow by tens and see if I can get this score to go up even more and maybe increase the clocks here by a minor amount just to see if it anything else. But I'm changing one setting at a time to get to make sure that I'm having the best information for each setting that I'm using. And the last clip that I'm going to do will be wrapping up this video because I've been at this for a good while now. If you look at the beginning of the video, we started. Today we're going to go through and overclock the 97. 1240, it's now 2 o'clock, so we're talking 2 hours of just solid um, information. I don't want this video to be too long, so we'll see how long it goes, and hopefully you guys have stuck with me until this point because this last little bit's going to be the last final push. If you made it to me to this point, thank you for watching my video. Um, a lot of this stuff, very difficult, takes hours to do, and I really don't buy hardware enough to make videos daily. But I can make help videos and quick guides. So if you have questions, I'll answer them in the comments. Give me a like and subscribe so maybe one day I start getting a little bit of revenue for at least a little bit of the work I do to help out. But this last test um, with the current settings of 500, negative 160, RAM at 2826 plus 10% full fan curve. I can go in and start adjusting the fan curve to the temperatures if I wanted to run the settings all the time. But the result at the end was 318897 for my total GPU score. And of course I have all the other testings. This should be a 3 because there's no way I ran a 40. But from stock 28,407 to max clock 31,897. That's not too bad. That's really close to 4,000 points um, gains. Um, Playing with the settings can cause issues. I'm going to tell you. Um, let's go open this in new tab so I can go like this and pull this over here. I had to download the AMD cleanup tool and new set of drivers on the last few runs because I thought I borked it. I thought there was an issue going on, so I reinstalled drivers. That also could have helped my score because all the way up until this point, I was running off the driver install from, I want to say, my Vega 64 and running updates ever since. That could have been an issue and caused me a little bit of difference in performance. Who knows? But um, sometimes it's best to run a clean install of drivers just in case they pull that extra little bit of numbers out of it. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative on giving you an idea, basic methodology that I use to overclock the GPU. If you have other ways, share it with me in the comments, and I'll take a look at them. Thank you all again for watching. You have a nice one. Just a quick little thing since I've gotten the 9070 XT. I mean, I've been running numbers for a couple of days now. It's a lot of work, but I mean, at the end, it's fun to play with. Let's go 3D Mark times by. I have a couple of thousand hours in this benchmark test. But still, see, I went next page. We're still 9070. Lots of runs. If you see zeros, that's because I either canceled it or it crashed while running. Interesting. Unknown, unknown, but it's the this here, so it crashed or something during that run. It didn't work with the hardware info. But I mean, see, I'm into the 6900 XT. So start here, 23 runs. And this is, you know, a good 2 or 3 days, 3 pages worth of work to make this video. So please give me a like and subscribe.